U.S. He's a great ally, and I think they want the communist Chinese out. And with our troops there partnering with their forces, we've got a chance to push them all the way out, sir.
We've moved a lot of troops to Panama and filled up some areas that we used to have, and we didn't have any longer, but we have them now.
America first.
And I think it's in very good control.
But also...
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Pete. Very good. Howard?
So, so we've have so many countries to talk to. It is, it's incredible. I think Scott and I'm not sure we could ever have enough time in the day to talk to all these countries because they want to talk and they want to talk now.
This is a great camera angle.
And they have come with offers that they never, ever.
This is about as much as I ever want to see of Howard Lutnick, to be fair. So I feel like this is me and the Fox Business cameraman kind of seeing eye to eye. Are these meetings mostly a formality? Actually, I would say that Trump's cabinet meetings are more informative than the ones you typically get because they do all of theirs in public because Trump likes being on TV. Usually cabinet meetings are not this transparent because matters of national security are discussed, but this administration doesn't care about national security or truth or anything really, so we're just making a show out of it. There's more to watch, basically.
Would have come with, but for the moves that the president has made, demanding that people treat the United States with respect. We're getting the respect we deserve now, and I think you're going to see historic deals, one after the other. And then I'm very excited that within a week and a half, we're going to start with the gold card, and the Trump card is coming out, and we're very excited about that, and that's coming soon. So very excited.
Good. Thank you very much. Good job. Linda?
Well, on a couple of fronts, we have been addressing the issue of anti-Semitism on campus.
Oh, I'm sure. The gold card thing, by the way, there's no law that allows the president to do that. Like, there's literally no legal framework for if you buy a $5 million gold card from the president, you get to be a green card holder, basically. You get to be a permanent legal resident. We're so far past the rule of law, man.
Campuses. There's been some grant funding and contract funding that we've reviewed, and some canceled and some we've put on hold, waiting for that while we do an investigation. On the other side of what my responsibilities are and having education go back to the states, we're meeting and talking with governors. I was with, this week, all 50 commissioners of education around the country, and because we also want to provide them with tools and best practices as education does move back to the states. Making great progress, great response from the states, and very positive.
And what about colleges? You're holding back $400 million from Columbia, $8 billion from Harvard. Can you imagine the money we pay Harvard? They have a $60 billion fund, and we're giving them $8 billion, and we're trying to figure that out. And then they hire de Blasio, the worst mayor in the history of New York, and they hire the woman from Chicago who was a disaster, total disaster, and they pay them massive salaries, and they're supposed to be teaching you government. That's not Harvard. That's not Harvard the way it used to be. So, do you have anything to say about that? The dollars you're holding back from?
He hates Columbia and Harvard. Which one? What did he go to again? I don't actually know. It's just he takes any opportunity he can get, especially Columbia. He hates Columbia. Penn State?
Quite a few universities that were not behaving.
I thought Columbia totally capitulated. It did. That's the funny thing. Columbia was literally like, we will execute students for being pro-Palestinian. Anyone wearing green and red at the same time, we'll just kill them. We'll just kill them right there. We won't even ask what it is. We won't even ask why. Please don't take our funding away. And they took their funding away anyway. It's pretty funny, to be honest. Literally, like, Columbia kowtowed so hard. I mean, with the EB-5, you could already buy citizenship for $1 million. Yeah, that's the funny thing. The gold card is completely redundant. Like, Trump doesn't, I don't know if he doesn't know or he expects other people not to know or whatever. The gold card thing is probably just a way of, like, paying money directly to him in another open bit of corruption. Like, the money's probably not going to go to the government, right? It's probably going to go to, like, him or a trust or a fund or something set up in his name or associated with him in some way. But if you have $5 million that you can spend, you can already just become a legal resident in America. Or what are you, stupid? Do you think America is going to be turning away people that wealthy? If you're wealthy, you can go to any country you want. basically every country has a way to become a resident if you are wealthy enough. It can be like you have to invest this much in a local business, you have to indicate you're capable of securing your income to this amount. Like, it depends on the country. And for America, it's pretty tough. We have a high standard because a lot of people want to come here and we're a pretty wealthy country. But if you have money that you can spend $5 million in cash on a permanent citizenship, there are cheaper ways of doing the exact same thing. Legal ways that'll survive after this administration is over.
Yeah, and the other, there's some Princeton, Cornell, others that are coming in, and actually getting calls now from the presidents of the universities who really do want to come in and sit down and have discussions. And so we're investigating them, but in the meantime, we're holding back the grant and the fund money.
Okay, great job. Thank you.
Wait, what is this? Secretary of Education Linda. Wait, what? Why is this muted?
That I heard this morning. I think it was a letter or a report that I heard this morning. I wish I could remember the source, but that there is a school system that's going to start making sure that first graders or even pre-Ks have A1 teaching, every year starting, that far down in the grades. And that's a wonderful thing. Kids are sponges. They just absorb everything.
They just absorb all the A1 steak sauce.
And so it wasn't all that long ago that we're going to have internet in our schools. Woo! Now, okay, let's see A1 and how.
She's 70, what do you expect? No! That's a pretty big deal, man. It's like none of these people take their jobs seriously. They're all like, well, my real job is making money off of speculative investment or whatever. I'm not going to actually learn about anything. I don't know, man. Yeah, she's not like a rando 70-year-old. Though she's not 70 here, right? This is clearly an older video, right? Wait, is it not?
How can that be helpful? How can it be helpful in one-on-one instruction? How can it be helpful in absorbing, more information for those fast learners? It can be more one-on-one direct.
It can't be that old, because otherwise she wouldn't be saying something like they're going to be taught with AI. That's like a past 3 or 4 years type thing, basically. Well, whatever.
Very thankful for the House voting for the president's budget.
That looks mid-2000s. I think they're just shooting it on an old camera. I think this might be a recent video. I mean, this was posted yesterday, and she's talking about education, and she's currently the Secretary of Education. So, like,
resolution along with the Senate bill made a ton of progress this week in working with members to ensure that a desire for flexibility in the Senate was not misconstrued as a desire not to slow and do spending reforms. And so we're very thankful for that. And now we can get after writing that bill, getting the president as big a package of his agenda to his desk. So very good week.
Good. That's right. We just got the House vote, and now we're well on our way to getting, as we call it, the great big beautiful bill. It's a beauty. There's never been a bill like this one. We're trying to get
okay, yeah, apparently that interview was from literally the other day. This article is from April 10th. While speaking at the ASU GSV Summit on Tuesday, Linda McMahon, I never know how to pronounce that, outlined big plans for A1 in classrooms. Do you have any idea how, like, contemptuous you must be of the work you have to do to have this job, to be making mistakes like this? Like, it is death of society shit. Yeah, it really is. Genuinely. This is, I don't know. This is like the modern equivalent of people thinking that, like, narwhal horns were from unicorns or something. I don't know. Yeah, we have a new vizier whose job it is to oversee the crops. New vizier, what's your opinion on crop rotations? And he's like, I don't know why you have to spin the seeds before planting them, but we do it. We've been planting turnips every season. We give them all a little spin before we plant them. And so far things are okay, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. It's the end of days. Just turn the beans over, idiot. Unicorns are real. Have you been on Tumblr? I've been on Grindr. How do you not know what AI is in 2025?
it all into one beautiful bill. It's tax cuts, regulation cuts, and many other things. The border, a lot of money for the border. Well, you're doing a fantastic job.
What are you expecting? Do you know how willfully ignorant you would need to be of a subject you're choosing to talk about in a public forum to make the A1 AI mistake. You're not like one level removed from understanding. You're so many levels removed. You're so removed, it indicates that you have never had a conversation about it out loud to anyone at any point who has ever corrected you. You've never talked to an aide. You've never talked to anyone in your department. You've never talked, nobody at any point has corrected you on this ever. You're so removed from being right that you've not even like come into glancing contact with this massive topic that everyone, including people her age and in her own administration, have been talking about consistently. Has she never seen, I don't know, Elon or Trump talk about it? It's a level of removal. Like literally, she shows up because she's supposed to show up and she presses some buttons and signs some documents to like defund schools or whatever, and then she goes back to drinking wine and watching her portfolio swell. It's just such a contemptuous, like you don't give a it's not just being wrong. It's like you're so obviously checked out, you know, and you're shocked or something. You're not smarter than me for being cynical when I'm trying to explain something.
So, but we just got a report that we, as you know, you knew before us. Were you surprised we got the vote? Got the vote. And we're happy to get the vote. So I think we're going to be in very good shape. Okay, please.
Mr. President, last year the Chinese received 1,700 orders for new ships. American shipyards received 5. Under your leadership, like so many other industries, we are going to revitalize and make shipbuilding and maritime great again with these blue-collar jobs. These are the cranes, the ports, opportunity zones, and drive that investment back in. And we have, under that executive order, and also one to streamline foreign military sales for people that want to buy our equipment, and of course acquisition reform, all just this week under your leadership, Mr. President.
So we're going to be rebuilding our shipbuilding business.
0% chance of this happening, by the way. The cost of the cost of restarting our domestic like shipbuilding would be so great, and it would require so many down the road decisions. It would require such a commitment. They're not going to do it. It's just not, it's not doable. Mind you, this is actually a kind of domestic manufacturing I think should be brought back. We already build ships domestically. Yeah. The first thing that came to my mind was Sherlock Moriarty, but that's England and also a 10-year-old reference. You can't say Kate Vi because that's canon. That's not shipping. Walter Jesse Pinkman. And yes, it's problematic. Not that that stops you, motherfucker.
May order would have to go to Congress for this, but we may buy some ships from other countries that we're close to and that do great jobs with ships, but we're going to start the process of rebuilding. We don't really essentially build ships anymore, which is ridiculous. It's going to be a very big business for us in the not too distant future, but in the meantime, we have countries that do very well at building ships, and we'll be dealing with those countries, and we may be ordering top-of-the-line ships from those countries. And within a fairly short period of time, we'll be building our own ships. So we'll probably have to go.
Just not going to happen. Obviously not going to happen.
Go to Congress for that, but we're not going to have a problem. Susie, thank you very much.
By the way, I'm a huge believer in like investing in maritime trade, like a massive believer. It is by far like thermodynamically the most efficient way of getting shit around the world. I think it would be phenomenal broadly if we built that network out, because like same day airline shipping or whatever, that shit's crazy bad for the environment. You know, like I a robust and modern, you know, shipbuilding, docks, all that. Like I'm fully for it, you know? There are huge inefficiencies in the way that, the ways that our docks operate. Like I've talked about this a little bit before, but like there were some obvious inefficiencies that a real industrialist type of guy could fix up, but that's not going to happen. You know? That's not going to happen at all. It takes so long to get everything loaded up onto trains. We don't have trains. That's another big issue. What do you do after you unload all the shipping containers at a dock? You get the trucks in. Trucks. They're for cucks. We need the trains.
The job you've done. Go ahead, please.
I just want to make sure you know that this cabinet, I think, pretty uniquely collaborates and cooperates and works together to accomplish all that you've asked them to do, and I think they deserve a lot of credit for that.
True. You're doing a great job. The chief of staff, doing a great job. Lee, go ahead.
Mr. President, the Biden EPA was strangulating the economy. The Trump EPA understands it's not a binary choice. We can protect the environment.
Stop riding trucks with the cucks and start building trains for the gains. That's facts. And you're brave to say it.
And grow the economy. Working with Doge and Elon Musk, we've now canceled $22 billion worth of grants. And we have launched what is the largest deregulatory action in the history of the country. Just in one agency. That's how much of a mess the Biden EPA left us. It is going to end up reducing the cost of living. It's going to create jobs. It's going to make it easier to purchase a car. It will be easier to heat your home. We're proud of this effort. The effort that we have is fulfilling the mandate that you earned from the American public. Clean air, land, and water for all Americans, unleashing energy dominance, permitting reform, advancing cooperative federalism, making America the AI capital of the world, and bringing back American auto jobs.
I think another benefit of these cabinet meetings being public is that it basically obligates all members of the cabinet to suck Trump's dick. Like, we're basically going on the room and every member of the Politburo is being given the opportunity to venerate dear leader. So it's like, if these meetings were held in private, I feel like the tone might not be the same. They suck his dick behind the camera too. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like they probably treat both him and Elon like elderly people off camera. Like, you know, that's nice, Trump, come along here. You know, like, oh, wow, that's interesting. Take a look at this. You know, I feel like they get led around.
When you called me that day asking for me to take this position, I was honored. And you were very specific and clear in what you wanted us to accomplish. We understand our mission, and at the Trump EPA, we're going to make it proud.
Great job. You're doing a great job, and you have a lot of applications for...
Like, not to, you know, not to belabor the point or anything, but the fact that the concluding line there, we're going to make you proud, and not like, I don't know, we're going to serve and benefit the American people. I know. It gets tiring hearing it over and over, but like, man, it's just kind of crazy how there's not even like a pretense anymore. Nobody talks about the Constitution. Nobody talks about serving the American people. They're just bouncing and moaning on it.
Approvals for power plants, which are going to really power the regular plants, and they're going to be right next to each other because we can't rely on our grid. It's old and it's tired, and it's, you know, very subject to being attacked, whether by rain or by bombs or by anything else. And we're letting people build their own power plants, and these are a lot of them being built with the AI and beyond the AI chips, and we're letting them build their own power, and never been done before, and we're going to get it done quickly and approved quickly as part of a plant. They'll have a sort of be their own power company, and it's very exciting.
That's terrifying. I look forward to the open AI power plant imploding on day 4 or whatever, because they told them they need to like supercharge that shit. We need you to take the gigantic like breaker switch and flip that shit to the mega forward position, because people are using ChatGPT to create too many fake Ghibli images to cheapen and ruin the aesthetic of a beloved property that we all care about, you know? Life is too good for too many people. We need to take an aesthetic that people associate with their warm childhood memories and make it the ubiquitous aesthetic of modern fascism with no soul or thought behind it. So crank that switch.
They couldn't believe it when I told them that. I said, we're going to get you the approvals very fast as part of your regular plant. You're going to build electric producing plants, and it's very exciting. And they're able to do it very quickly and very well. And you made it possible. Thank you. You have a lot of applications for some of the biggest plants that have ever been built in the world. These are serious plants, aren't they? Huh?
Approved. We are open for business. Working with Secretary.
Did you guys see that post from the Department of Energy? The Department of Energy is basically just like meme posting on Twitter because every agency is has their social media being run by a groyper. How it feels to reinvigorate America's beautiful clean coal industry. I have to phrase this carefully because we live in a fucked up society where comedy is illegal. However, ever unironically using the term clean coal should have you put in a show trial. Like there should be like the fact that this is allowed to exist as a concept. What does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. They just took the word coal and then they put clean in front of it. Trump used the term clean gas the other day. That's cool, man.
Sean?
First off, Mr. President, it's Brooke's birthday today, so he's getting
Yay!
so happy birthday to Brooke. Thank you. I want to thank you as well for the shipbuilding at EO. Again, to build ships, we also need mariners to sail those ships. I was just up at Kings Point for the Merchant Marine Academy a couple days ago, and we have some of the greatest young men and women who are learning how to be mechanical engineers, to rebuild and fix the engines on those ships, but also how to sail ships. I would tell you that over the past decades, this academy has become, it needs some love. It's been a little bit dilapidated. We have to invest in sailors, and I appreciate you taking the initiative. To be a global power, we have to build ships and have sailors to sail those ships. These are the very people that help Pete should we come into points of crisis to support the military. So thank you for that. Number two, the last administration announced 3,200 projects, big, beautiful roads and bridges. Most of them are good. But they announced them, they didn't sign a grant agreement. 3,200, so the money doesn't go out the door to build the infrastructure in the country. And it's fun to do an announcement. It's actually the harder work to put together these grant agreements. So we're doing the work right now at DOT to get these grant agreements done and build the projects. Most of them are good. And they also put in all of this.
Didn't the person they chose for the Department of Transportation, isn't this guy actually pretty good? Like, this was the one Trump cabinet secretary whose record we looked at, and he's like a weird urbanist YIMBY Republican? Or am I thinking of a different... No? Am I thinking of somebody else? I thought Rubio was the least objectionable one. No, Rubio is incredibly evil. DOT secretary. I swear to God we did a bit on this guy. Sean Duffy? Wait, is this the guy? Sean Duffy, former reality television personality. No. Okay, no. I don't know what I'm remembering then. I swear to God, I remembered... Wait, hold on a second. Duffy started log rolling at age 5 and speed climbing at age 13. He holds 2 speed climbing titles. That's just shit Mulan be doing. All right. Well, now I'm listening. It was Doug Burgum? Doug Burgum is who I was thinking of. Oh, he runs the Department of the Interior. Okay, he runs the Department of the Interior, not Department of Transportation. My apologies. Yeah, Doug Burgum is like a weirdly pro urban development Republican, if I remember correctly. No, Doug Burgum is dumb as shit. Is he? Then who am I thinking of? You know what? It doesn't even matter.
Green and social justice requirements on roads and bridges. We're pulling all that out and putting the money toward the infrastructure, not the social movement from the last administration.
Good steel, right? As opposed to green paper mache.
That was great.
Good, thanks. Great job.
Sir, first, we are, I would say, more than friends. We've all become family. And I think that what you have assembled in your vision.
Dude, at least the, like, the Politburo secretaries would have, like, a mote of dignity to the way they gluck on that dear leader, okay? At least there would be, like, an artifice. This is like a... this isn't even like a boardroom meeting. This is like a team spirit meeting being held in the break room. Are you kidding me? We're not coworkers. We're like a big family here. What is this? Dollar Tree? Jesus Christ.
vision is a turning point and an inflection point in American history. And so just being a part of that is the greatest honor. So thank you for that. And again, just the relationships here and the honor and respect we have for each other is a reflection of you and your leadership. So I just wanted to say that first. The second thing I want to say is that on behalf of the farmers and ranchers, food security is national security. We have to be able to feed ourselves. And your idea of using tariffs along with deregulation and tax cuts, but your idea of using tariffs to ensure that we are putting forward and putting America first, no one understands that better than our farmers and our ranchers.
Yep. No one is Kowalski here to like hold the seppuku knife up to his stomach at this one. No one loves tariffs more than our farmers. That's true.
But having said that, emerging from 4 years of Biden with a 30% increase in inputs for our farmers and ranchers, with an almost $50 billion trade deficit. When we left the first time, it was zero, meaning that they are hurting. So the period of uncertainty we're in, they know that your vision will move us into an age of prosperity for all Americans, but for my people, for the farmers and ranchers, unlike any they have seen before. And I think they are really, really excited and so grateful for your leadership. But also, you have never failed to say that you have the backs of our farmers and our ranchers. It was the first phone call that I had after I was voted with the Senate.
Oh my God.
And that message just resonates with an almost 85% support of you in the last election. They're with you. Interestingly, the biggest budget driver at the United States Department of Agriculture is not farming and ranching or agriculture, it's food stamps. And so as we emerge and embark, Secretary Kennedy and I, on your vision of making America healthy again, a massive part of that is realigning and reworking our food stamp program so that it better serves those who need it.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, to the point of getting the transgender,
dude, he's bored.
DEI, Green New Deal out of the USDA and
oh yeah, oh my God, man, it's like it's how do you parody this? How the f do you parody this?
It better serves those who need it. And yeah, to the point of getting the transgender, DEI, Green New Deal out of the USDA and
they get his attention back.
Really important. So thank
you. He's like, yeah, okay, even I'm getting tired of this. She would not shut the f up, and she had nothing to say. Jesus Christ. When the bitch keeps sucking after you've come 3 times or something, I don't know. Please. Please get off. I have to file my taxes. Please. You're doing the math on the Schedule C self-employment, like what percentage of the self-employment tax you're writing up. Please get the f off me. Come on. She's chewing on it.
100% out, would you say?
99.9, sir. I'm going to get that last point.
Get the rest of it.
But thank you, sir.
We've got a much different military, I will tell you. Thanks very much. Good job. And eggs are down.
Eggs are
big,
down.
right?
Yes.
Big.
Yes, sir. Wholesale prices. Retail will come. Easter is the Super Bowl for eggs. So, you know, there may be a little fluctuation, but no, we feel really good about it. Thank you.
That's what I hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. I'd echo what Howard said on the trade queue, that we've got over 75 countries that want to come in. So it'll be Treasury, Commerce.
Egg prices are at a record high right now. In case, like, I know they keep saying egg prices are down, and every time they've said it, they're lying. Egg prices have continued to go up, even though bird flu has slowed down. Bird flu has slowed down because, in spite of RFK Jr.'s, best efforts or whatever, they U.S. farmers have been pretty aggressive in culling flocks that were infected. Might come back up.
Jameson at USTR, and we're putting a process in place. And
how do you know it's slowed down? Haven't culled a flock in a while.
As you said, you're going to be part of the negotiations too, because I've had these countries call me up, and the Secretary Bessent, we're happy you're going to be negotiating. Said, well, President Trump's going to be involved too. So, bring your best deal on the budget. It's moving quickly in the House and the Senate, thanks to your leadership. We're also going to have debt ceiling in there, so we're going to...
Oh yeah, by the way, we'll talk about it more extensively. But Mike Johnson, credit where credit's due. That freak, that porn addict, son, weird incest thing he has going on freak is a really, really good House Majority Leader. They passed the budget, guys. They passed the budget through the House. Goes back to the Senate now, but it doesn't have to go through the filibuster. So Republicans are going to have the run of the place. They have, yeah, the big disparity now is that the House wants much, much, much more severe cuts than the Senate does. But they got it through. With only, what, 2 dissenters in the House? Senate Republicans seem way more reasonable, not going to lie. I think, relatively speaking, yeah, it's a more prestigious position, and a lot of those senators have been there longer, so there's less, like, you know... I think the more susceptible you are to public influence, the more likely you as a Republican politician are to be a freak. If you're in the House, you're running for re-election every 2 years, which means you have to be constantly caught up in the oorah, 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 you know? Always, always, like, here's how I'm going to, you know, make Trump's mission, you know, I'm going to support him, God wills it, etc., etc. The Senate gets to chill out a little when it comes to campaigning, so maybe they're a bit less crazy, but still pretty crazy.
To get an increase in the debt ceiling, so, and that will be the done and dusted for
Part of the bill that we just got to vote on today. So.
part of the bill. It'll be done and dusted for 2 years. We won't have to worry about that. And then I gave a speech yesterday to 1,400 small and community bankers, and they were so happy to hear from your administration. And I told them Wall Street's done great for the past 4 years, 10 years, 20 years. It can continue doing great, but it's Main Street's turn now, and it's those small bankers through deregulation, through emphasis on Main Street, your Main Street agenda, bringing back jobs, that is going to power the smaller communities. And then finally, the bond auction went very well yesterday. We had a lot of foreigners show up as the support, showing that the U.S. is still the best place to invest. The inflation report, as you said, was quite good. And
the bond auction did go well, but weirdly, the yields are still relatively high considering the market. I'm going to be honest, I've been hearing a lot of, like, conflicting reports on what we should be thinking about when it comes to the Treasury yield. You know, I've heard conflicting reports. I don't really know. I mean, take a look at this. Look at this. From the Wall Street Journal. After a strong 30-year bond auction, 10-year was a little bit ago, the yield drops, which makes sense. People just bought in. But then it climbed up to past where it was at the beginning of the day anyway. So, like, the title is Treasury Yields Fall, but that title was clearly written before all of the rising. I don't know. Vosh, you wore that same suit the day after yesterday? What? Listen, if I had another good suit to wear, I would. Unfortunately, my favorite suit makers are based in Hong Kong. At this point, it would be cheaper for me to fly to Hong Kong and get measured in person. Is the yield being up good or bad? So, my understanding of this, and again, this is information I only recently acquired, so my information on this is a bit shaky, right? But basically, the government holds auctions to sell bonds so that it can raise money. It needs to raise that money to pay off people who already hold debt in the U.S. government. Basically, we're selling debt. We invite people to come over and buy 5, 10, 30-year bonds, you know? This is considered a safe investment, assuming the government holds together and stays, you know, solvent. The problem is that the way this is structured is that the yield, which is the expected return, goes up the more or the less demand there is. So the more demand there is, the more people buy it, the yield goes down. So when people buy into bonds, you expect the yield to go down, the return goes down. When people don't buy bonds, the yield goes up as a way of incentivizing people to buy the bonds. So the higher yield here would suggest that there's a low demand for buying the bonds. But also, the auction did well. And also, usually there's an inverse relationship between how well the stock market is doing and how much people are buying into bonds. If the stock market is doing well, people invest there. If it's doing poorly, people take their money out of the stock market and they move it into bonds. They move it into the Treasury, which is considered a safer investment, less volatile. So if the stock market is trending downward and the auction is doing well, why is the yield going up? Exactly, but people are moving the money out of America. Well, that's what people are suggesting. People are suggesting that foreign governments or hedge funds are doing big sell-offs of the debt they hold in the U.S. People are losing faith in the stability of the government, and for that reason, they are removing money from the system altogether. The money is being moved out of the market and out of the Treasury. Didn't it come out that Japan dumped a bunch of Treasury bonds? Has that been confirmed? I don't think that's been confirmed. They denied it the other day. Japan rules out using U.S. Treasury holdings to counter Trump tariffs.
And energy prices are down more than 20% since January 20th.
Amazing.
That's great. Very good. Good numbers.
Great number.
Thank you. Pam?
President, we've had some great wins in the last few days that, you were overwhelmingly elected by the biggest majority.
Yep.
The U.S. Americans want you to be president because of your agenda.
Yep.
And the courts are ruling that you have the authority to determine how the money of this country will be spent. That's what the American citizens wanted, and that's what they're getting.
It's not what the Constitution says. It is what the Supreme Court said, kind of.
An example of that Friday was the Department of Education, that you can determine how the money will be spent. No more DEI. And that impacts every agency across the board. On the civil side, again, NLRB. We had a big win in the Supreme Court.
Does Trump himself not find this weird? People have been talking to Trump like this for his entire life. His entire life, this is how people have talked to him.
There. OPM, a big win there, but also 16,000 workers there. But also on the criminal side, the Alien Enemies Act, we are winning there. And your directive to me was to keep America safe, and that's what we're doing. Whether it's the alien enemies, all of these gangs, and they are enemies of our country. They are terrorists, they are organized crime, they have come here, they are extremely organized, they are spread throughout our country, and they are creating...
They're an infinitely powerful network that for some reason we can't, find out anything about, and the people we arrest have no criminal records, and we even admit for some of them that it's a mistake for us to have removed them. It's an infinitely powerful network, so powerful that it effectively operates as a de facto state, which is why we declared the Alien Enemies Act. We invoked it against them. But also we have literally no... when was the last time you guys heard of a Tren de Aragua leader or cell being found? Not heard of it from Republican media, because they say that every day. I mean in reality. It's never happened. Isn't part of the fascist playbook to describe the enemy as is simultaneously weak and strong at the same time? Yes. And this is 101 for that. You need a constant state of emergency to justify the revocation of your civil rights.
Terror, and no more under your directive. And that has stopped. Yesterday in South Florida, we charged 11 defendants with $500 million of pure cocaine coming into our country to kill our kids. They were caught. They will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. These gang members are going back to where they came, or they're going to an El Salvador prison at your directive. And, you also gave us a directive to prosecute the people who are going after Tesla to the fullest extent of the law, some of the greatest police work I've seen. We've made 4 arrests. There will be no negotiations at your directive. They're all looking at 20 years in prison, and within the next 24 hours, you're going to be seeing another huge arrest on a Tesla dealership, President. And that person will be looking at least 20 years in prison with no negotiations.
What does that mean? Negotiations? What does she mean by that? No trial? I think she means that they won't be accepting a plea bargain. Yeah, no plea deal, but it'll still go to trial. So it'll take years.
That's great.
That's great.
That will stop it cold.
Domestic terrorism.
Thanks.
That's true. Domestic terrorism.
Thank you very much. Lori, please.
Mr. President, accountability matters. That's what we're recognizing. With our partners at the Department of Labor for Government Efficiency, just a few weeks ago, we realized there's about $4.4 billion in COVID funds that were not used, that the state coffers were just holding on to. Out of that, we've returned $1.4 billion back to the state treasury, so essentially to the American people, and we'll go back and claw the rest of those billions of dollars back. And on the heels of that, late last night, we're understanding unemployment insurance fraud. That trust needs to be whole for the American people. When we need it for who deserves it. That's not what we're seeing in the numbers that we saw last night, again, exposed by our partners at DOGE at the Department of Labor. Since 2020, over $400 million of payments have gone out already. And when you hear these numbers, apparently in the United States, we have over almost 25,000 people who are over 115 years old who are collecting $59 million that we have sent out to people. Talk about fraudulent behavior. Mr. President,
talk about fraudulent
28,000
behavior.
people between 1 and 5 years old have collected fraudulent payments at the tune of $254 million has gone out. And lastly, 10,000 people who have not been born yet, 15 years into the future, $69 million, and they haven't even been born yet. In one case,
I think they should cut all of these payments all at once, just so we can see what happens. I'm saying that I'm not going to get Social Security for quite a long time, so I think now is the right time to be doing stuff like this when it doesn't affect me. I think they should do that and just see how it goes. I don't know. Why not? Come on. Don't you want to see what would happen?
they will be born 129 years from now. The United States government sent them $41,000, and they're not born yet. So, under the Department of Labor, those are the things that we're uncovering. I couldn't be more honored to tell the American people that we're bringing back their dollars and we're saving them and returning them to the United States Treasury. Also, jobs numbers. Last Friday, 228,000 new jobs were reported. That is good for the American people. That is my primary job, is to grow that workforce under your leadership. So we've kicked off the America at Work tour, and we'll be visiting all 50 states, and I'll be working with my colleagues here to do just that. So thank you, Mr. President. We're going to grow this economy. We're going to keep our focus on the American worker.
So you're finding tremendous fraud, though. Those numbers are really bad when you're
Unheard of.
over 115 years old. And I think you had mentioned the oldest person in our country is 114 years old.
Reported.
That's pretty good.
A woman living in Pennsylvania, but apparently there's 24,000 more of them that are 115 or older that we're
I hope you hear that. So we have 24,000 older than the oldest person.
Definitely did.
Can you play? Oh, there he is. Ah, so he is here. I recognize that voice. I would recognize that distinct lack of charisma anywhere. Can you play something else, please, Jesus Christ? No, I think it's important that all of us like fully grasp and reconcile with how we all are. You know? Look at this.
That's and what are we doing about that? How do we get that money back?
Yeah, so we're working with our IGs to do the further investigation. The House and Senate, we had a 5-year statute of limitations. We've got an extension on that, another 5 years. And so the goal, in my opinion, we should never have a statute of limitations to return the American dollars back to the Treasury when there's fraud. But at this point, we will continue to work hard and double down and return those dollars to the Treasury.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job. Christy?
Well, Mr. President.
You can tell Elon's having less and less say in this administration. It is really funny how all it took was the inability to secure the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat. Totally failed to. He was a liability for them. Because no one in this cabinet likes Elon, except maybe Trump. I don't know. Maybe not. It's hard to say. Generally, people don't like him. So as soon as he f***ed up in Wisconsin, they all had an excuse to turn against him.
Thank you for your leadership at the border. For the second month in a row, you have broken the record in the history of the nation for the lowest number of encounters at the border, which is absolutely remarkable. You have said that America's laws matter and that they'll be enforced, and we're hard at work now to get people to go back home that are here illegally. So the Alien Registration Act has been in place long enough now that those individuals that are here illegally, if they haven't registered, then they can be charged criminally, and they can face fines up to $1,000 a day and face deportation if they don't go home, and they'll never get the chance to come back to America. So we're encouraging people to use the CBP Home app to register and we're working on the resources and funding to buy them a plane.
For the self-deportation, yeah. Shouldn't Democrat presidents do this? Yeah, no, honestly. If the Democrats were based, which they're not, so we're talking in hypotheticals, but if they were based, having, like, pretty regular public cabinet meetings where you have these, like, team huddles, obviously it wouldn't have this tone because this is insane. But a proper one, that'd be nice. It'd be a big step up from the previous administration where Biden's aides hid him from everyone, including like senators who wanted to talk to him because he was so old and incompetent and feeble-minded that they wanted to protect him from the consequences of bad interpersonal interaction.
Plane ticket to send them home. I went to El Salvador, Colombia, and Mexico, and those countries and others are thinking about setting up programs to support these individuals when they get back to their countries. So when they get there, they'll have housing and food assistance, and so making sure that these folks have the opportunity to go home so that they can get the chance to come back to America is important. And
so it's a very big self-deport operation that we're starting.
Thousands of people have already self-deported. Well, we're just going to, when you have 21 million people that need to go home because they're here breaking our laws, then we need to facilitate that. And I've been working with the governors a lot lately on several different issues. One of them...
When did it go from 20 million to 21 million? The actual number is something like 13 million. They said 20 million. Now it's 21 million. Did a million more undocumented immigrants come in between Trump winning the election and now? Yeah, it's inflation. They're going to slowly increase it until the entire population is deported. That's how we do land back, folks.
Has been on FEMA for recommendations on how to do exactly what you've directed us to do. And then also I sent a letter and communicated with them that they need to be setting up a SCIF. Some of our governors don't have secure facilities to have national security issues. I think one of the jobs Homeland Security has is to give communication down to states, to local cities and communities. And so recommending they get a SCIF, they have secure comms with them at all times or nearby so that they can have national security conversations, and then to have somebody in their office designated that is their communications person. A lot of them have emergency management officers, but they don't necessarily have somebody designated when it comes to a national security issue that we may need to communicate with them on. And I think American people need to know that Real ID will be required to travel on May 7th. So those governors have been notified to communicate that at home. We don't want anybody to get delayed and not be able to travel when they get to an airport. And this will also help us bring integrity back to all of our IDs and how they're used for issuing driver's licenses. And governors know how I feel about making sure their driver's licensing system
you haven't mentioned Trump's name in like 2 minutes.
Because a lot of people use their driver's license to vote. And the backbone of our country and the foundation is election integrity. So we're giving all those directions to our governors and communicating that so they can lead on it as well.
And we're going to work with people so that if they go out in a nice way and go back to their country, we're going to work with them right from the beginning on trying to get them back in legally. Is that right?
Get a chance to come back.
So it gives you real incentive. Otherwise, they never come back. They'll never be allowed once a certain period of time goes by, which is probably going to be 60 days. We're also going to work with farmers that if they have strong recommendations for their farms for certain people, we're going to let them stay in for a while and work with the farmers and then come back and go through a process, a legal process. But we have to take care of our farmers and hotels and various places where they need the people. And we're going to be working with you very carefully on that. So a farmer will come in with a letter concerning certain people saying they're great, they're working hard. We're going to slow it down a little bit for them.
Remember when I said that the whole point of the mass deportation rhetoric was to gin up racists? They're going to do some like show deportations, but they can't actually get rid of the vast majority of them. So this is going to be used as like a way of pressuring them to work for even lower wages, essentially, because the threat of ICE hangs over them. I didn't think they'd be this blatant about it. This is like essentially a slave visa. Like, oh, the illegal immigrants are productive workers, according to the farmer that employs them. All right, well, okay, we'll like let it slide because they're, working here illegally. They're profitable. Jesus Christ.
And then we're going to ultimately bring them back. They'll go out. They're going to come back.
This is Qatar and UAE type stuff, yeah.
Legal workers. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Which I think will be I think it's very important to do. Okay, thank you very much. Great job. Jameson, I watched you testify for the last
Yeah, he did.
couple of days. You're on every night at 3 o'clock in the morning. And you did great. You were fantastic. Thank you very much.
It's just what I like to do for fun, sir. You've been keeping us very busy. Last week, you started a reordering of international trade, something that hasn't happened for 80 years, something that should have happened decades ago. And you know that. You've known that for a long time. That's why you have us all working on this. You came into an emergency situation where President Biden left us with a $1.2 trillion trade deficit. It's the largest of any country
Who's talking
in human
right now?
history. The largest. So you declared
RFK
emergency. You
Jr.?
took
You
action.
said the
Junior?
largest in history, right?
In history.
There's never been anything like what he left us. He left us a mess. His whole administration was a mess. So go ahead.
So you declared an emergency, you imposed a trade action, so now you have a tariff on the world, it promotes U.S. manufacturing, it protects U.S. workers, and you've also given room for negotiation during this time so we can open export markets for our farmers and other producers and American workers. And this is why the unions vote for you, this is why the workers vote for you, this is why the families want you to be the president, because you're standing up for American workers and American communities. We've had countries come in over the past couple of weeks that represent more than half of global domestic GDP, more than half. That's who's coming in to talk to you and to your advisors about how to have reciprocal trade, how to have fair trade. Would have happened without you.
Thank you very much.
There was no way for the President of the United States of America to arrange a meeting with members of nations that are allied to us without doing global tariffs. There was simply no other way.
Great job. Lovely line.
Well, thanks to your fantastic leadership, this amazing cabinet, and the very talented Doge team, I'm excited to announce that we anticipate savings in FY26 from reduction of waste and fraud by $150 billion.
Wow.
And I mean, and some of it is just absurd, like people getting unemployment insurance who haven't been born yet. I mean, I think anyone can appreciate whether, I mean, come on. That's just crazy. So
incredible, even in this motley crew of fascist oligarchs, degenerates, pedophiles, he's by far the most uncharismatic. I can't get over it. I can't get over it.
Some of these things, people ask me like, well, how are you going to find waste and fraud in the government? I'm like, well, actually, just go in any direction. That's how you find it. It's very common. it's as the military would say, target-rich environment. So I think we're doing a lot of good and excellent collaboration with the cabinet to achieve these savings, and it will actually result in better services for the American people, and that we're going to be spending their tax dollars in a way that is sensible and fair and good.
And your people are fantastic. In fact, hopefully they'll stay around for the long haul. We'd like to keep as many as we can. They're great, smart, sharp, right? Finding things that nobody would have thought of. Very computer savvy.
Yeah. We're working hard to get the Trump Gold Card operational, hopefully in the next week or so.
That'll be very exciting. It's
really exciting.
That's a pathway to citizenship into the United States.
It's a big deal.
Yep, it's a big deal. Thank you very much. Great job you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Thanks to your leadership and setting the mandate of transparency and accountability across the U.S. government, I'm bringing that transparency and accountability to the intelligence community. First and foremost, to make sure that you and your cabinet have that real-time, relevant, apolitical, objective intelligence to best inform, whether it's negotiations for peace, negotiations around tariffs, the great work that you are leading around the cabinet today. Secondly, working with Department of Homeland Security and the FBI to increase our information sharing to achieve your goal of countering the narcotic trafficking and our ability to go after cartels now designated as foreign terrorists. I met with the National Sheriff's Association this week, being able to work to make sure that the information that they are getting on the ground, that local law enforcement is getting on the ground, is being fed back up through to our National Counterterrorism Center, and that we have all of the federal agencies, state and local law enforcement all on the same page as we are working to make our country safe again. And lastly, sir, as you know, declassification and rooting out weaponization, politicization of the intelligence community is a huge priority. You know more than anyone else the very dangerous and negative consequences of that. I've got a long list of things that we're investigating. We have the best of the best going after this. Election integrity being one of them. We have evidence of how these electronic voting systems have been vulnerable to hackers for a very long time and vulnerable to exploitation to manipulate the results of the votes being cast, which further drives forward your mandate to bring about paper ballots across the country so that voters can have faith in the integrity of our elections. And lastly, we've been scanning. I've had over 100 people working around the clock to scan the paper around RFK, Senator Robert F. Kennedy's assassination, as well as Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. These have been sitting in boxes in storage for decades. They have never been scanned or seen before. We'll have those ready to release here within the next few days.
Didn't you say you already... But wasn't that supposed to be like a month and a half ago? Now Vosh thinks he's a finance bro after 1 week of wearing a suit. I don't think talking about free trade is really a finance bro thing. That's more like macroeconomics, right? Finance bro would be like stock investment stuff. Vosh, economics isn't your strong suit. You can always tell you've got a point when people say shit like you're wrong, but I can't say how. They love saying that.
That's great. Bobby, how do you feel about that? That's hitting,
I'm very gratified to hear.
That's hitting close to home, isn't it?
no
When you
kidding.
think, I'm thinking about Bobby when that statement's made.
I'm very grateful to you, Mr. President.
Good. And you'll let Bobby see some of this because, you know, it's very personal stuff. But it's time.
I've asked him, and his response is, put it out. The world needs to know the truth.
And his uncle that's been out, and anything that hasn't been out, they can go to your offices and see, right?
Everything that we have within our possession, it's either online or it's physically
Everything
at
is television.
the National Archives and Records Agency. We also have hunters going out, Mr. President, and looking in the storage lockers at FBI and CIA and other agencies, specifically to find if there is anything else that has not been reported. We're actively going out and trying to search out the truth.
Okay. Yeah,
they are trying so desperately to make more television out of this, and it's been so boring. They literally said, like, we're releasing these files, and then nothing happened. In the JFK file, nothing happened. No one cared. I wasn't even seeing people talking about it like the day after. The day right after, you know? The Epstein thing, even people on the right were upset about how openly dishonest the Epstein one was, where they didn't release anything at all. They just turned it into like a, you know, photo shoot.
When you get it all out.
Yes.
100% good. Thank you very much. Good job, Dustin.
Mr. President, on behalf of America's manufacturers, I want to thank you for standing up to the Chinese Communist Party and fighting for our main streets, for our workers, and for those that make things in America. I'm out on a Made in America manufacturing tour, and as I go across the country, people are grateful to have a president who's not just fighting on the tariffs fronts, but to get inflation down, to create jobs. After Biden destroyed 110,000 manufacturing jobs in just his last year, we've already brought back thousands and thousands of manufacturing jobs. So the American worker is grateful. Main Street is grateful for you. And at the agency level, we're making sure that manufacturers have access to the capital they need, but we can't do that if we're not fighting fraud. So we've...
No one talked to Biden like this? Well, no one could talk to Biden because his aides kept him, like, hidden from everyone. I probably don't need to say this, but everything she's saying right now is untrue, obviously. Manufacturing jobs aren't coming back, and manufacturing investment is actually declining since Trump took office.
Modified our loan applications to have citizenship verification, to make sure we have birth dates, common sense principles around lending that the Biden administration had waived. They waived $450 million of fees in 1 year. We're restoring that for the American taxpayer. And the American taxpayer, as tax day approaches, April 15th, they need to know that this cabinet, this administration...
I really like how consistent they are with this language. I really do think there are people who believe when they cancel a grant or whatever, or cut a program, that the money goes back to them. How exactly? how exactly does the money go back to the taxpayer? It doesn't. That's not how anything works. Nobody's getting a tax return for like 0.1 cents once you average out like all the costs saved or whatever. That's not happening. It just, yeah, it sounds like such a big number, you know?
And thank you, Elon Musk and Doge, for fighting for the American taxpayer to make sure that their hard-earned dollars are well spent, that they have a return on investment for this country, and that we're fighting for them just as you are every single day. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President, we are working at HHS to advance your agenda to make America healthy again. I'm working with Lee Zeldin to reassess the fluoride rules based upon the August release by the National Toxicity Program of new science that shows a direct inverse correlation between exposure to fluoride and IQ loss, particularly in children. Lee and I were in Utah this week, to announce that Utah became the first state in the country to ban supplemental fluoride. I'm working with Brooke on and governors now in 24 states who are advancing MAHA legislation to get soda pops off of the food stamp program, off the SNAP program. We've launched Operation Stork Speed to get the bad chemicals out of baby formula. We're working with governors across the country to get good food into the school lunch programs and to get rid of food.
Remember when Michelle Obama did that and everyone hated her because she was black and a woman?
Chemical dyes and other bad chemicals that are in our food. We've shown now that this directly affects academic performance, violence in the schools, and mental health, as well as physical health. We are working with governors across the country to get cell-to-cell or bell-to-bell legislation to restrict the use of cell phones in schools, which again dramatically impacts academic.
I know they're probably pushing for this because they want to make it easier to sexually assault children in schools or something, or whatever motivation Republican politicians have. That being said, you know, unintentional W with the banning cell phones. I don't know, man. It seems like pretty bad to have them in schools at all.
Performance. Today we announced a dramatic reduction in animal testing at NIH and FDA. We're going to switch over to AI, which we've now found is much more precise in identifying the impacts of toxics in various products. We're working with Elon, who's done an incredible job to eliminate the redundancies and to streamline operations at all the health agencies and to recalibrate our trajectory to your agenda of making America healthy again. And finally, on the CDC has done an amazing job at getting the measles outbreak under control. We have about 680 cases now in 22 states, compared to the same outbreak in Europe, which is 100.
Is that under control? Isn't that more? Is that better? Plus another death? Yeesh.
127,000 cases and 37 deaths. Our numbers in this country have now plateaued. And I want to thank CDC for that. And we're trying to refocus the press. We've had 3 measles deaths in this country.
Why compare it to like Europe? Like what's the definition of like what do you mean? Like, well, yeah, we had only a few measles deaths as opposed to like Kazakhstan or Romania or whatever. Like, okay.
Over 20 years. And we're trying to refocus the press to get them to pay attention to the chronic disease epidemic as you've asked us to. We have now 38% of American youth are pre-diabetic. This was unknown 30 years ago. Every child that becomes diabetic, there should be a headline about them. We have 100 million adults who are pre-diabetic or diabetic. And we have, we have now, the autism rates have gone from now, most recent numbers we think are going to be about 1 in 31, 1 in 20, so they're going up again. From 1 in 10,000.
He's talking about you guys.
When I was a kid. And we are going, at your direction, we are going to know by September. We've launched a massive testing and research effort that's going to involve hundreds of scientists from around the world. By September, we will know what has caused the autism epidemic, and we'll be able to eliminate those exposures.
So big. Think of that. So it was 1 in.
By September, and they'll be able to eliminate those exposures. What do you think? What do you think it's going to be like? Phone radiation, fluoride, vaccines, of course, the big one. Are they actually going up, or are we just more easily able to spot it? Oh, they're going up for sure. People are way the fuck more autistic than they used to be. People hate that take of mine, but like autism, like many other things, is socially constructed and socially determinable. Your fixation on gotcha games as a substitute for like healthy eating and exercise is making you more autistic, and that's not a joke. Yeah, the real line is between the people with true natural autism and the people who developed it thanks to their own poor discipline.
10,000 children had autism, and now it's 1 in 31. Not 31,000, 31. That's a horrible statistic, isn't it? And there's got to be something artificial out there that's doing this. So you think you're going to have a pretty good idea, huh?
We will know by September.
There will be no bigger news conference on that. So that's it. If you can come up with that answer where you stop taking something, you stop eating something, or maybe it's a shot, but something's causing it. It can't be from 10,000 to. Can you imagine that, Marco? That's a big number. Thank you very much. You're doing great. Thank you, Bobby. Please.
Well, Mr. President, one of your primary administration
almost
goals
done.
is to make sure that we unleash American energy, and of course the strategy behind that is when we do that, it helps make it more affordable for all Americans. Energy isn't just industry, it is the foundation of every other industry, whether it's food, manufacturing, clothing, transportation. And then also when we've got the ability to generate and not just be energy independent but energy dominant, then we have the opportunity to sell energy to our friends and allies versus them buy it from our adversaries. And our adversaries were funding terrorism and conflicts against our allies by their oil and gas sales that were going through a Swiss cheese set of sanctions. So with your creation of the National Energy Dominance Council, over half the people at this table serve on that. Everyone has been engaged, whether it's interactions with negotiations with other countries, with putting sanctions in place that actually work, with cutting deregulation, working on biofuels, building infrastructure for transportation. There's a whole range of things that are being tackled. But when the outcome of all that is that the Biden administration was restricting supply, you're increasing supply. When you increase supply, then prices start to come down. And we have a huge opportunity to do this. Just in interior alone, there's 500 million acres of surface, 700 million acres of subsurface, and 2.5 billion acres of offshore. And the Biden administration was trying to restrict this so that you couldn't get a timber lease, you couldn't cut a tree, you couldn't graze a cow, you couldn't develop oil and gas minerals, and you couldn't develop the.
Whenever you guys play a Civ game or 4X or whatever else, and you just do like a shit job of it, right? Like you're playing on medium difficulty and you're way behind in the tech tree. That's like that. This is what you're doing to the society that you're constructing. It's the year 2025. Nuclear energy has been around for more than half a century, and we are talking about offshore oil deposits. We could have a essentially an entirely renewable energy base right now that would be less expensive to maintain than what we're doing, and infinitely better for the environment. And we're not, because we suck.
Critical minerals we need for our technology, for our defense industries, and to be able to help us win the AI arms race against China. So we're opening up this, and with your executive orders and your work, we've on Tuesday, historic day, you ended the war on beautiful clean coal, which has been going on since Obama took office. China gets 60% of their electricity from coal. They're opening up They've opened up 94 gigawatts of coal in the last year as part of this AI arms race. 94 gigawatts, that's enough for 94 Denvers. To be able to, 1 gigawatt per metro area like that, it's unheard of. So we have an opportunity under your leadership to come back. The Gulf of America had its first offshore lease sale, which is scheduled for later this year, but that was, the industry loved that because we're now, the Gulf of America is now open for business again.
Yay.
And there's as much as 7 billion barrels of oil accessible now. They've increased the upside of what they think that is. On the coal front, the estimate is the financial value of the coal in America is $8 trillion. That was an asset on the balance sheet that we've now being put back on again. And of course, in Alaska, with your separate executive orders to unleash Alaska energy between ANWR, the North Slope, the Strategic Petroleum Reserve Alaska, all of those, we've reversed Biden decision. Those are all open for business again. And all of this is leading to the investment coming to America. The smart money is coming to the U.S. That's why we've got, trillions of dollars of investment that are showing up at the door, because they know if they're going to do manufacturing here, there's going to be energy to power their plants. And so, again, thank you for your leadership and thank you for everything you're doing.
Very good. Thank you. Marco?
We're almost
Mr.
there.
President, one of the most important things I believe you'll achieve in your presidency is reordering the world in a proper way. For 31 years, more than 31 years now, multiple administrations have allowed the Chinese to deindustrialize this country, to take away jobs and factories and the pillars of our national strength. And what you're doing now, I think, is a great service to our country, but ultimately to the world. And I want to congratulate you and your team that's working on that, because it has extraordinary geopolitical implications, as you see from all these other countries that are now coming here and wanting to join something that actually makes it's crazy to allow these. I mean, basically, we lived in a world where Chinese companies can do whatever they want in America, but our companies cannot do anything over there unless they allow it, and even then they steal our stuff and reverse engineer it. So just reordering all of that has dramatic implications on peace and security of the world. So we thank you. An important meeting, thanks to you, is going to happen on Saturday for the first time in a long time. There'll be direct talks between Ambassador Witkoff and a top-level leader in Iran. We hope that'll lead to peace. You've been very clear what Iran is never going to have is a nuclear weapon. And I think that's what led to this meeting, and we'll wait for him to come back from it, and we're hopeful about that. I would also say that we are receiving, and I think the Department of Homeland Security can confirm this, historic cooperation from countries all over the world. Number one, in taking back their citizens. Every country in the world has to take back people that are illegally in another country. And we have countries that refuse to do it or will kind of ignore our calls. All of them are doing it. The ones that are not are paying a price. And we've also found cooperation in other countries that are willing to take some of these people, some very dangerous criminals. I know the President of El Salvador will be here next week, has really been a good friend of the United States in that regard. These are some of the worst people you'll ever encounter. And Pam knows this, and Christy knows this from the work they're doing. And one last point I want to make, Mr. President, again, it's under your leadership, it's actually under your executive order.
This shit is so draining.
If you come to this country as a student, we expect you to go to class and study and get a degree.
If
you come here to vandalize a library, take over a campus, and do all kinds of crazy things.
We forgot a very important component of the job of the Secretary of State, which is infinite, undying fealty to Israel.
We're going to get rid of these people, and we're going to continue to do it. So when we identify lunatics like these, we take away their student visa. No one's entitled to a student visa. The press covers student visas like there's some sort of birthright. No, a student visa is like me inviting you into my home. If you come into my home and put all kinds of crap on my couch, I'm going to kick you out of my house. And so, that's what we're doing with our country, thanks to the President. And last but not least, very important development this week, but both Pam and I were very excited. The finest higher education institution in the United States, University of Florida, is also now the national champions in basketball, and we hope you'll host them here soon, Mr. President. Go Gators.
They're coming.
Good for the SEC.
They're coming, guys.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. You're really doing a great job. We appreciate it. Any question?
Mr. President, can you give us a reaction to today's stock market drop, and also give us a sense of the next steps with China?
Well, I haven't seen it because I've been here for 2.5 hours, so I'll be seeing it. I think Scott went out. Scott, you want to have a statement on that?
Sure. Look,
Poor Scott, man. This guy. The market going down it means it'll go up. I get more to go up. Thank you. Market crash. That's a funny word. Market crash. Thank you.
Up 2, down 1 is not a bad ratio, or up 10, down 5. And I think...
Oh my God, that was his response. I got it right. But what's Trump, that's what happens when you give him no time at all to prepare. That's what you've got. Also, interesting, by the way, that Scott Bessent knew how much the market had turned down and Trump didn't, even though they were both at the same cabinet meeting. Huh? Like, they're both there. Why did Scott know if Trump didn't?
As we have talked about, as we go through the queue and settle with these countries who are going to bring us their best offers, we will end up in a place of great certainty over the next 90 days on tariffs. But we had very good inflation numbers today. Oil's down. We had a successful bond market, so I don't see anything unusual.
Oil's down is not good. So are we locked in on the assumption that, oh my God, guys, oil's down below 60 a barrel again? I thought it had stabilized at like 62 or 63 or something. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, yeah. It dipped back down below. It's right. Okay, right now it's hovering. Crude is hovering at literally 60.07. Look, you can see the rally right here. I didn't realize that it had gone back down. See? You've crude up here at 71. I don't know what any of this means. The price of crude oil is determined largely by people's expectations for how much international shipping there's going to be in the near future. Basically, like a rough estimate. The bigger the economy, the more demand for oil, the more oil costs. So a crash in oil prices, because oil is a tricky thing because you can't turn the pumps off. Normally, when you have fluctuations in the price of a commodity, you can control how much of it is sold. But when you open up a well on oil, the oil keeps coming, and it's very expensive to shut it down. So you get more and more and more and more of it. You have to fill barrel after barrel after barrel, and like you run out of storage space. You can't like think about it logistically, right? Like you just keep getting more and more. You can't dump oil, right? At least you shouldn't. So you keep having to fill more and more. You need to sell. You need to keep moving that oil. You need to. So when prices are crashing like this, it means they're desperately trying to get people to buy it, essentially. Anyway, it went all the way down to 59.58 here. It rallied a little bit. I didn't realize the rally was over. Back down it goes. OPEC agreed to rapidly increase production. Well, they're trying to strangle us out, which they should. Glory to Saudi Arabia in their war against American infidels. So the reason why inflation is down then, people are expecting it's because of decreased consumer spending. It is crazy, Daffy Hat.
Usual today.
And next steps for China, sir?
Well, we'll see what happens with China.
Gas won't get cheaper, though. Companies will just get richer. Have you ever wondered why gas prices are the only things? It's the only commodity that you buy day to day that seems to ever go down in price. Like you'll have one location in a city, and it'll go up, and then it'll go down. When do you ever see prices go down at the grocery store? The reason why prices go down at like gas stations, the reason why it's possible for the price to fluctuate is because it's a very, very rare commodity where they have to sell. Unlike a lot of other stuff where they can just hold on their commodities and wait for you to make the money to buy it from them. It's expensive to store. It expires. It's difficult to maintain the logistics network necessary to keep all of these, gas stations topped up, all of these ships filled. You can't shut the pipes off. So the reason the price goes down is because when gas prices go down, they're trying to get you to drive more. They're trying to incentivize you to use up what they have because they can't turn the tap off. Finally, a supply side inelastic good. Yes, it's like the only example of an inelastic commodity from the supply side. That's true. I can't think of any other example, at least. The cost of oil went negative during the start of COVID lockdowns. Yes, for a little bit. That is true. It was like the cost of futures of storing oil because they needed to get rid of it. Negative? Yeah, they were overproducing so much oil relative to how much the world was using during the beginning of the lockdown that essentially they would be willing to pay people to hold on to the oil barrels. They were literally trying to give it away, like, take this away. Most forms of power generation are supply-side inelastic good, Vosh. You can only store so much energy. I guess that's true. Yeah, I suppose that's true. Yeah, when you maintain a power grid, because we don't really have batteries backing up a lot of that grid. So, like, if no one's using electricity, it's being wasted because it gets poured into the grid with no one using it. So essentially, yeah, like, there's a reason why your meter tracks usage, and then, like, there's fluctuations in power prices, and it's you know, it's a complicated industry. I guess it's like an energy thing, yeah.
To be able to work a deal. They've really taken advantage of our country for a long period of time. They've ripped us off beyond anybody, nobody. How people stood for it, sitting in my position, is not even believable. And we're talking about many presidents, not just a couple. But they did, and all we're doing is putting it back in shape. We're resetting the table. And I'm sure that we'll be able to get along very well. I have great respect for President Xi. He's been, in a true sense, he's been a friend of mine for a long period of time. And I think that we'll end up working out something that's very good for both countries. I look forward to it.
Mr. President, China retaliated today by reducing the number of American films that can be shown there. What's your reaction to them now targeting cultural exports from the United States?
I think I've heard of worse things. Yes, please.
Shareholders of Warner Bros. Holding the knife to their stomach as they watch Trump make a joke like that.
Also on China, the Ukrainians say they have evidence that Chinese soldiers have been found fighting for the Russians in Ukraine. Can the US verify this? And if so, what does the US plan on doing to China to combat that?
We'll look into it, but I think beyond that, we're really looking to get that war stopped. They're losing 2,500 and even more than that young people a week. They're Russian and they're Ukrainian. They're not American, but they're people. And we're seeing.
Are they Chinese? Like, because seriously, the allegation that there are Chinese soldiers engaged in active combat in Ukraine is a pretty serious one. I would be interested in knowing more. The allegations that I have heard are that they are actual Chinese soldiers, which sounds, you know, pretty serious. If they're just mercenaries, then it doesn't really matter. Well, no, why would China do that? Great question. It's an interesting, you know, would be nice to get some follow-up. It was a Chinese national. He had a Chinese passport. Seems like he was just a mercenary. Well, there are American citizens fighting over there, part of the Foreign Legion or whatever.
If we can get it stopped, and I think we're making progress. I appreciate the ballerina who was released. It was at the request of a very good friend of all of ours, actually. Dana White called me and he said it's the friend or the relationship of one of the fighters for UFC or one of the fighters. And Dana's an incredible guy, and we spoke to President Putin about it, and they made a deal. They released the young ballerina, and she is now out, and that was good. So we appreciate that. We hope that we're going to be able to make a deal relatively soon with Russia and Ukraine to stop the fighting. It's so senseless. It's such a horrible thing. It would have never happened if I were president. But it did happen, and we were given that card. And I think we're going to get it. I think we're going to get it stopped. Got to get going. We got to get it. We have to move it faster. Likewise with the hostages, we're making progress. We, there's 50.
So, how close are you to the first country coming to actually make a deal with the United States over tariffs? Is it days, months?
Well, I think it's very close, but we have to have a deal that we like. We don't want a deal that's going to be a bad deal, or I could make every deal in one day if I wanted to. I could do this in one day. I could just say, here's what.
The standards of this administration have plummeted so much, man. It's crazy. We had to crash the market to get people to talk about trade, and also we can't name a single concession we have gotten from any country at any point. The most we've gotten is them promising to not implement retaliatory tariffs in response to the tariffs that we implemented. What is being considered a victory is going down. You know what? That's enough of this. I don't know. Let's just try to do some segments. Let's just try to do some. It's so difficult. It's so difficult, you know? It's so difficult when the country is like this. Because you could be talking about anything, and then like you could talk about some big development or some element of the economy or whatever, and the next day it's completely invalidated because the roller coaster ride is taking us through a tunnel now. Your life is so hard. I agree. I think my life is very hard. Possibly the hardest job there is, my life. This map right here is a full illustration for how Jover it is for the US. But, well, no. You have to understand, man. There's nothing wrong with this. At all. There's nothing wrong with this. In 2000, most countries traded with us. In 2024, most countries trade with China. That's fine. I mean, it certainly means we probably, like, shouldn't be doing a trade war with them. But, like, why is this framing it oppositionally? We have both benefited from this. China has benefited from this arrangement, so have we. It should, like, it's to our mutual benefit. I just don't think, yeah.